Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, and change makers. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's a bright and beautiful day. Welcome to Times Network Sustainability Conclave 2026, brought to you by presenting partner Adani, co-powered by Mahatransco, state partner Madhya Pradesh, tourism partner Delhi Tourism.
Innovation partner Shakti Pumps, growth partner Greenco Group, energy partner Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency, International Solar Alliance, Solar Energy Corporation of India, research partner Climate Trends, and education partner Bennett University. Hina, in the last few years, India has gone from being a cautious participant in the global climate conversation to now setting the pace of it. This year, in fact, as per government data, India crossed 50% of its power capacity from non-fossil sources 5 years ahead of its 2030 target.
Isn't that amazing, Ashish? You know, ladies and gentlemen, in the financial year 2025-26 alone, the country added over 55 gigawatts of clean energy capacity. That's highest in any single year on record. And that places India's renewable capacity third in the entire world.
And what's more interesting is that India is now becoming a nation that powers its own growth, on its own terms, self-reliant enough to build what it needs right at home, resilient enough to withstand what the climate brings, and ambitious enough to lead, not follow. That is the scale of the transition India is having today, and it is exactly the conversation this room has been built for.
Absolutely. And before we move on, let's welcome our chief guest. Honorable Minister has arrived. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, to set the tone for the conclave, we have our chief guest arriving here, and that is something that we will be focusing on, what his message really is going to be. And before we move ahead, let's quickly play an audio-visual, a small video that we have that will actually set the tone for the conclave, and that will also give you a sense of what's expected during the day.
2035, not a distant future, a defining deadline. By then, India could stand among the world's 3 largest economies. The true measure of our progress will not be in how fast we grow, rather on how sustainably we grow. Because a nation carrying the ambitions of 1 billion-plus people must also confront the realities of a changing climate. Our self-reliance will be tested by the energy we import, the industries we build, the resources we consume, and the food systems that sustain us. The choices we make today will define the India of 2035. Choices that demand resilience, resources, and a resolve. Because sustainability can no longer remain an ambition. It is realized with action. Renewable energy at scale. Mobility that moves without costing the planet. Industries built for a greener future. An economy where resources are not simply consumed, but re-engineered. Every sustainable transformation begins with policies that enable progress, business leaders who scale solutions, innovators and climate champions turning intent into impact, different voices, one shared responsibility, one defining moment to act. Adani presents Times Network Sustainability Conclave 2026, co-powered by Maharashtra State Electricity Transmission Company Limited. India's journey to becoming a self-reliant nation starts here.
Wow. Sustainability is not just an ambition. That's the phrase of the day. That of course set a very powerful tone to this conclave, and it really, in a way, establishes the conversations that we are having today.
That's right, Ashish. In fact, under the visionary leadership of our esteemed chief guest, India has emerged as a global powerhouse in renewable energy. He has overseen one of the fastest scale-ups in clean energy capacity anywhere in the entire world. And his progressive policies have significantly strengthened India's push towards building its own green future.
And not just that, he's also championed the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat through his tenure as the Minister for New and Renewable Energy. And also, there is no better way to inaugurate this conclave on India's sustainable future than with the man steering it right from the center.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our chief guest, Shri Prahlad Joshi, Honorable Minister of New and Renewable Energy. May I please request Honorable Minister to come on this stage?
I would also like to invite Ashish Sehgal, CEO, Times Television Network, Navika Kumar, Editor-in-Chief, Times Group, and Zaka Jacob, Managing Editor, Times Group, to come on the stage and please present the Honorable Minister with a token of our appreciation.
A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We can do slightly better. It's just the beginning of the conclave.